The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army.
Today is Sunday, December 13th, 2020. Thanks so much for joining me. It's been a while since I've done just a straight out podcast that's not attached to the live stream. So this is just me talking into the microphone, and I'm choosing to do this today instead of video because I want to just get all of my thoughts out without the burden of, I just want to get my thoughts out. We'll leave it there. I want to talk briefly because I have a whole lot of work to do, and we all do. I know you do. So I'm not going to use much of your time. But I do have to speak about the kerfuffle that's happening on Twitter. And on a scale of significance, I would rate what's happening on Twitter with the arguments that's going on around Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the YouTuber Jimmy Dore suggesting that or demanding that she forces a vote on Medicare for all in the House with Nancy Pelosi as Speaker and with the knowledge that it will fail. And the purpose of it, the suggestion and the strategy, is that it will allow the people to get on record, Nancy Pelosi and all the Democrats' records, get on the record that they don't support Medicare for all. And the idea is that this is going to be toxic to them as candidates in 2022 because the majority of Americans support Medicare for all. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she weighed in on the conversation and she basically explained why she wouldn't do it. One, because it is guaranteed to fail currently, right now, despite the fact it is, the real problem is that we have representation in Washington, D.C. that is not reflective of the will of the people. 70% of the Americans want Medicare for all. Shit, I want Medicare for all. Everybody wants, 70% of the people want Medicare for all. A lot of people don't. That 30% who don't have vested interest in not doing it, right? I think we all agree on those notes so far. The Democratic Party, people like Jim Clyburn are recipients of healthcare industry donations, and so therefore they are a protective barrier for the healthcare industry, for the insurance industry, just like they're a protective barrier for the police. We know these things and we discuss it pretty regularly. I discuss it pretty regularly. You can go through my catalog or you could talk to someone who actually listens to me and they understand between all of the shows that we do, we absolutely call out the Democratic Party and we'll continue to do so. Not because, though, here's why I'm talking this morning. We don't do it. I don't. I can't speak for anybody else who puts out content on my channel. But I do not attack the Democratic Party because it's cool or popular. I do not attack the Democratic Party. I attack conservatives because, one, they deserve to be attacked, and because it is cool and it is, the popular thing to do to attack conservatives because they deserve to be attacked. It's always in style. It's always in vogue to attack Nazis. So we're cool on that. I think we all agree there, right? But I don't attack Democrats just because I think it gives me a nice little lane to cultivate a cottage industry and create a career that can sustain my lavish lifestyle. Well, one, I don't personally have a lavish lifestyle, but I'm talking about Jimmy Dore very specifically. While I was fighting to make sure my lights were on and still fighting every single day on my platform for Medicare for all, he was in the south of France. And I don't do that to blow up his spot because, we all want nice things. And finally, I'm making a little money here. And sure, maybe when the pandemic is over, I'll fly my family over to Wakanda for a vacation. Sure, fine. I get it. But what I'm not going to do is do that and have that lifestyle based on sowing discord with frivolous ideas and strategies that are poorly thought out, that are actually destructive to our ends, because I'm in this to win. That's the difference. I don't do this shit to, excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. That's why I'm going to get this out of the way and I'm going to move on. Because what am I doing with my days? Attacking the squad? No, why? Why should we attack the squad? Why? I get the idea. I want to be sure. I get the idea that you want to hold the people closest to you the most accountable. That's really one of the reasons that's why I attack the Democratic Party. I don't do it because it's cool. I mean, every time I do it, it's a war, nonstop. If you engage in a fight, you know this from Twitter. If you engage, you're locked in, and you just have to choose your battle. And I have chosen my battle against the Democratic Party. But I also know, like anybody else who has actually sat down and thought about it, we also know that the path to an actual progressive policy future does not go through playing our deuces. We have a pair of deuces. We have a pair of deuces right now. And Jimmy Dore is asking all of you to get angry with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And those of y'all on Twitter are getting angry. You're losing your shit with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she refuses to go all in with pocket deuces. Okay? We're asking her to go all in with pocket deuces. Anybody who's ever played any poker whatsoever understands, yeah, you got a chance of winning. Pocket deuces can win. I've seen pocket deuces beat an ace king. Nancy Pelosi is sitting on an ace king. Actually, she's sitting on a pair of kings because she's the Speaker of the House. And she has the ability to isolate and marginalize the squad over the next 2 years. And the squad needs to be able to leverage their positions for more power. Very specifically, here's why I am doing this podcast this morning. Because there are so many people and institutions who are amassing power for a progressive agenda. If you are unaware of it, this is not to slam on you that a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes. But if you ask questions about it, you will find out that there are a list of organizations that are organizing for power. There are a list of candidates who are in power now, who are trying to organize that power and find the best way to actually strike. I think what bothers me about this entire conversation, y'all, is the fact that because AOC and the squad have not jumped on the suggestion of YouTuber Jimmy Dore, whose last suggestion, by the way, actually contributed to the election of Donald Trump, which led to the deaths of 300,000 Americans. I want us to be able to draw that line. If there's any reason for people to just completely ignore Jimmy Dore, it's not because I said so. It's because you can look at his strategy from 2016. Forget about me, because you're going to think I'm a hater. Oh, Ben, you just want what he has. No, not at all. I'm actually really satisfied because we over here at the blah, 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 I'm not even going to give you our name yet. We are building power. We are building institutional power. We are building institutional media power for the purposes of a progressive future. Why else are we doing this? Why else? See, again, I'm going to come full circle. What bothers me so much about this is that people like Jimmy Dore they have worked people into a frenzy enough to require them to reject the intentions of people like Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, Jamal Bowman, AOC. The very people who have put their personal lives on the line in that they put their names in the hat to be the target of not only conservatives, but also centrists. But they said, we believe in this progressive future so much, we're going to put our lives on the line, throw our hats in the ring, put some skin in the game and run for office. And they won. And they are literally the closest thing to actual power that any progressive has right now. And yet, it's not just that the idea is bad and that we had a chance to review the idea from Jimmy and reject it as something we don't want to engage in. It's that now he has all of these progressives on Twitter questioning the intentions of those of us who don't obey him and his stupid ass idea that does not calculate anything beyond the very first step. That's going to be the second thing I talk about. The strategy of forcing a vote on Medicare for all for the purposes of, quote unquote, exposing Democrats who you and I already know are exposed. They will not support Medicare for all because they are getting money from insurance companies and the healthcare industry. So if we already know that, why are we going to force AOC to play pocket deuces against someone who has pocket kings when we already know the play is to get rid of all of the establishment Democrats? All right, after this music, I'm going to tell you why the strategy has to be to primary these people. Don't waste this political capital forcing a symbolistic vote that only serves to undermine the power of the people who are actually in the game now. They're in Washington, D.C. And now you don't even believe that they care about these issues because Jimmy Dore told you they didn't. Yeah. That's why I'm so angry about. Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm angry. I actually had to debate with myself. Do I honestly care enough about this issue to expend some of my life force fighting against it? I slept on it last night. Last night I was like, I'm going to go to bed. F this. This is not important. I mean, because the idea is. The general accepted idea about Twitter is that the more time you spend on Twitter, the less time you're actually doing work. And this is true for me. I don't know about you. It's true for me. That's why I'm not on Twitter like that anymore. I mean, I like to come on every now and then and slam dunk on some dumb conservative or something, right? But I don't get into scorched earth arguments anymore. And I had to ask myself, is it worth getting into the scorched earth argument? And the answer is yes, at least for the next few hours, because I got work to do. The reason it's worth getting involved in is because there is, and I'll talk about the real strategy of primarying people. I'll talk about that before this episode is over. But the reason I feel compelled to get into it, and if you disagree with me or not, that's totally cool, right? And I'm not above being wrong. I'm not above stating what I believe. And if you disagree with me or you could bring me evidence to show me that I'm wrong, fine, I will change my mind. But the reason I decided to expend energy on it this morning is because it is a constant recurring theme in the American left to always tear down the very front. How many people in power actually even have a conversation with the left? A conversation that is engaging in the sense that they want to win for the left. They want to win for progressivism. The squad wants to win Medicare for all. They want to win a Green New Deal. They genuinely want this stuff. That's why they put their lives on the line to be there in the first place. That's why I put my entire name out here, because it's what I'm fighting for. It's the only thing that's the only thing I'm doing with my life at this point. I believe in it. So I don't. Let me make a couple of things clear. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff, all this stuff that I do, social media, podcasts, the media company, period. It has always been nothing more than a means to an end. And that end is an actual future where we don't have to starve, where we don't have to work 3 jobs just to make ends meet, where we don't have a government that presides over 300,000 deaths and we don't do anything about it. Now, I don't know about anybody else. I don't know why anybody else is in this game, but that's why I'm in this game. That's why I don't care when people, you're a corporate shell-out. The people who say that kind of thing have no more understanding of what it takes to change something in this country than they do from the perspective of Jimmy Dore. Their entire worldview is shaped by the idea of all we've got to do is protest vote and we'll get exactly what we want. I've been in this long enough. Finally, I've been in this long enough to beat through a couple of cycles to see this is the game that is played every 4 years. And it's played by people for whom the point was media. The point was to be a YouTube star. The point was to make a whole lot of money. It was a career choice. YouTube and this shit, I don't give a damn about YouTube. I've tried about 30 dozen careers. Because the career for me was irrelevant, immaterial. What was important was that I have the ability to speak truth to power on these issues. And here we are, 4 years after Jimmy Dore made the prediction that if Donald Trump is elected, what will we see? He said everyone will become radicalized. everyone will become radicalized and we'll have a revolution in 4 years. Those liberal, he got mad on Sam Cedars' episode and he yelled and he said, like, those liberal pink hat wearing women, if Donald Trump gets elected, they're going to become radicalized. And it was accelerationism, right? Accelerationism is a quote unquote theory on the left that things have to get worse before they get better. So we should allow things to get worse. That was Jimmy Dore's grand idea. 300,000 people later, dead. And America hasn't revolted. America hasn't gotten more radical. America coalesced around what was safe. They coalesced around what they felt was safe, which was Joe Biden. And he barely won. Doesn't say there much about their judgment now, does it? You know what I mean? We agree on that. The fact that they thought Joe Biden was safe and his ass barely won. I mean, at the end, it's going to look like an electoral landslide, but at the end of the day, it still was too close. The president of the United States, who presided over 300,000 deaths, got 71 million votes. The point is that there are forces underlying, and I'm not talking mystical forces, I'll outline them very specifically, but there are forces underlying change in this country that go beyond a symbolic vote to expose Democrats as being feckless leaders who need to be voted out. Hello, folks. We already know that they are feckless people who need to be voted out. And guess who actually is amassing enough institutional power to actually primary even more centrists? I mean, every year, the goal should be, sure, hold them accountable, hold AOC accountable, but you can't hold her accountable to an idea that hasn't thought past step 2. Okay, I got to remember that most of you haven't read my Twitter timeline, so that's fine. And let me go through how fallacious this strategy that I outlined at the beginning of this episode is. Jimmy Dore's grand revolutionary idea is for AOC to force a vote on Medicare for all, knowing that it will fail. But they believe that if they can get everyone on the record showing that Democrats don't support Medicare for all, that would somehow turn into more power for the progressive movement because the polling shows that the American people actually support Medicare for all. Here's the thing. If America in its current condition did not even bat an eye when we saw 300,000 people die from COVID-19, and this government hasn't given us a bailout since March, $1,200 to last us 9 months, for which Nancy Pelosi was a part of. Okay. If we did not get angry over 300,000 deaths, I guarantee you we are not going to get angry and do anything more because Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats don't support Medicare for all, period. What will happen, though, it will show that the squad is an existential threat to the Democratic Party. Now, the Democratic Party knows this, and the real question is are they going to sit around and allow the squad to amass power, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, that's not the only question, but that is a reasonable question. We can't assume that the Democrat establishment are mindless automatons who aren't calculating the actual threat that the squad poses to them. So therefore, they're going to oppose the squad no matter what. Okay. I could throw that. Let's throw that calculus into the equation. I still think it's a fool's errand to show your hand in such a weak fashion with the guaranteed outcome of defeat and the guaranteed outcome of not moving the dial at all whatsoever. You're not going to change. America supports Medicare for all. So the real question has to be then, why is it that we have people in power who are able to not support something that is overwhelmingly supported by the American people? And that's because they don't represent us. Then the question becomes, how do we get rid of them? Well, then the answer is, well, we force a vote on Medicare for all. Force a vote on Medicare for all and show America that Democrats don't really care about them. Folks, you're missing, and I'm sorry, I guess I could have said this 30 minutes ago. You got to understand a lot of rank and file voters of the Democratic Party don't care about Medicare for all either. At least they do not care enough about it to actually take a risk. A risk. They would not take a risk, and they took their chances with what they thought was a safe bet. Joe Biden. Listen, America loves the idea of Medicare for all, but not enough to take the risk. Why? Excellent question. I'm glad you asked, which points us into the direction that I think we need to go. But whatever. Y'all do what you want to do. I'm going to keep working. As soon as this podcast is done, I'm going about my business. You can do what you want to do. The fact of the matter is this. The consent that has been manufactured in this country is so deep. The consent that has been manufactured by the media is so deep. By the Democratic establishment is so deep. By conservatism in this country, so by white supremacy, by capitalism, the propaganda runs so deep that when they felt crisis, these voters, I'm not talking about Nancy Pelosi, I'm talking about the people who reverted back to supporting Joe Biden because they thought he was a lower risk profile than Bernie Sanders against Donald Trump. Were they wrong? I think they were absolutely wrong because they almost lost. But what does that tell us about this particular strategy? That they are not going to view this through the lens of positivity towards progressivism. And I'm sorry, that's politics. If you're not convincing people to vote with you, but you are instead alienating people and making them think that you are an existential threat to this entire country, does that mean, Ben, you're just going to follow along? No, no. No, my friends, this doesn't mean that we follow along with anything they say. This doesn't mean that we let them get away with anything. It means that we play a very specific game, which is called primarying them. The power is in primarying them. The institutional power, because it takes institutional power to mount a campaign. And when you're done mounting a campaign, win, lose, or draw, you have that institutional power that you could leverage the next time. Ask Cori Bush. And the people who are in Congress right now who have the wherewithal, both in terms of the temerity, the backbone, as well as the institutional power, very specifically meaning they can send out an email and raise $100,000 to get somebody's campaign off the ground. Some progressive, ask any progressive candidate, would $10,000 had helped their campaign? And so now people like Cori Bush, who did not give up because she lost the first time. She took that institutional power she got from the first time and she leveraged it into a second time. And I'm telling you, that is the model. They cannot stop us from primarying them. They cannot. Nancy Pelosi, I'm sure she was going to find a million ways to punish people for primarying folks, but they've been doing that and they're going to do that anyway. So that's one of the things we'll say, well, kiss our ass. We will find a way to raise all this money. And we have. We have institutional power now like we have not had in the history of our lifetimes. I can't tell you what they had in the 60s. Well, I guess I can. We can look at the books, and that's how they were able to get things done outside of power. They had institutional power that applied pressure on the White House, on Congress. We didn't have that in 2008. That's why Barack Obama was able to get away with everything he wanted to get away with, because we didn't have the institutional power. We didn't have the fundraising power. We didn't have the communication power. We didn't have the list. We didn't have the email list. We didn't have the audience. And now that we do, Jimmy is saying burn all that down for his idea.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
And so really it begs the question, then why wouldn't we just employ a strategy of primary everybody? Why isn't that the suggestion right now? Why is that not the suggestion? You know why? If I had to think this thing through, I've been around the block so many times, y'all. I mean, I hope that you just kind of take me at my word. I will be more than happy to give you the logic behind everything that I say and then let you make the judgment on whether you agree with my argument or not. That's totally fine. But I hope we don't have to expend that kind of time. But I will. Shit. Friday night, I have a Ask Me Anything. We sit there and you can ask me every detail about this that you disagree with, and I will give you my illogical explanation. And if you agree, that's fine. If you don't, at least I would have made my case and you can make. But my question, though, is why is Jimmy not pushing a strategy of primary everybody? Because that's what I'm pushing. Literally what I'm pushing. I've connected with organizations that are good at primarying, and we're gearing up to primary the hell out of every Democrat from James. Well, I don't want to the list of people we're going to primary. Why is that not the strategy? Because out of everything that's on the table, you answer me this: which is a better strategy, to try to force a vote on Medicare for all that everyone everywhere knows is going to fail, that will alienate the squad members that we have, and not only alienate them, but put them in a position of opposition. They will have an antagonistic relationship in Congress, which will affect every other thing that you want to get done. Now, is an antagonistic relationship worth, is that the end all to be all? No, I don't care. Like, if we need an antagonistic relationship to get something done, we can, which is why I'm willing to primary these people and let them have an antagonistic relationship with us anyway. Primary them. They're going to hate you all the same. You want to feel like the outcast. You want to feel like the rebel. You want to feel like then primary them. Throw your hat in the ring. Actually run. Get power. Because what's going to happen, this is what I want you to realize, and I want you to think of it this way. If you ran, you primaried somebody, and we helped you win. Can you imagine the amount of your life you would have to now commit to public work, to public service? The ridicule, I don't personally care about that, but you might, right? The nonstop trolling, the nonstop ridicule from the right, from conservatives, from centrists. Like, you got elected to go to Congress. I'm talking to you, listening to me. You got elected to go to Congress. And you've put your entire life on the line. And you're sitting there strategizing nonstop about how to win on behalf of the people, only to have some YouTuber, and I say it just like that because I am a YouTuber, and let me say some YouTuber, just some YouTuber. It's not that YouTubing isn't a noble profession. It's a really lucrative profession, right? So some YouTuber who makes honestly to God, I guarantee you that Jimmy Dore makes 10 times as much as AOC as a congresswoman. Put money on it. And here, the congresswoman who makes enough, I'm not going to ask you to feel sorry for AOC because she makes enough. Trust me, she probably makes good money. But I guarantee you Jimmy Dore makes 10 times as much because I'm on YouTube and I know. Okay? So we're all out here banking. And here he is telling people who used to support you, people who voted for you, telling people who rally behind you, people who are looking to you to be true to your word about what you said and why you put your life. How dare? Because think of you. I'm not saying think of some lib-centrist, neo-lib. I'm talking about you and the fire that drove you to participate in the first place. We are dealing with a generation of people engaging in politics with the grit and the chip on their shoulder of actually being poor, actually being working class. And I'm talking to you, my working class friend, saying that you came and you ran and you won, and then all of a sudden now everyone is questioning you because you don't employ some cockamamie strategy that doesn't think past the first move. Where is the institutional power that comes after you lose this vote? Pause. Reflect. If you do Jimmy Dore's agenda strategy, where is the institutional power that you're going to need in 2022 to get anything more than a symbolic vote? I'm going to pause. Reflect there. Just pause. Answer the question, please. If you disagree with me, I'm going to ask you to just simply answer these questions. And if you still disagree with me, then cool. That's fine. I'm going to log off anyway. I got work to do because I know we need institutional power and that there's no way we're going to ever win this unless we have actual media. We need organizations. We need organizations that are going to actually primary folks, have enough money and send out emails and vet candidates and prepare candidates. We need all that institutional power. We need politicians in power. We also need media, because conservative media and MSNBC and right wing, left, center, all of them is the same to me, but they managed to convince all of America that their best route to getting rid of a fascist was the riskiest route that almost lost. And if it wasn't for progressives, he would have lost. But I digress. I want you to just answer the question for me. What is the net win after AOC forces Nancy Pelosi to vote on Medicare for all? See, what really happened is that Jimmy actually sat down and figured out that there were some procedural techniques that could force a vote. And then he was like, aha, I know what to do. We're going to force the vote on Medicare for all. But he's smart. I'm going to tell you guys, Jimmy is not dumb. Jimmy is not dumb. I always call him dumb, but he plays dumb. He plays dumb. That way you can continue to excuse his Machiavellian machinations. He knew that this was a dead end strategy, but he also knew that it would play on your angst and your anger over 2016 and over 2020 primaries. So answer me the question. What do you get for losing this vote against Nancy Pelosi? You get the moral fiber of knowing that you laid it all on the line. What if laying it all on the line actually what if going all out actually meant going to primary and getting 10 more of these centrists out of power and putting 10 more progressives in power, right? That's just 2 years away. That's literally just 2 years away. What about 4 years from now? When we have enough institutional power to mount a real challenge, a serious existential challenge, either on the presidential ticket or throughout Congress. And we go from 15 members of the squad to 70 members of the squad in 4 years. See, I'm not asking you to chase some chimera, some fanciful idea that makes you feel good but yields no results. I'm saying chase the thing that actually yields results, which we have seen over the last 4 years. What gets results is primarying people. And Jimmy Dore is asking you to start to look at AOC and the entire squad through the lens of skepticism because it's good for his clicks. There's no moral foundation to what Jimmy is saying. He knows it's good for clicks. And that's why I think I'm most passionate about it this morning, is because people have been long able to capitalize on the anger of the left by making you far more apathetic and destructive, self-destructive. This idea is so ridiculous, not on the face of it. You actually do have to pause and think about it, right? Pause and reflect. But when you pause and reflect, you say, oh, wait, no, this is an incomplete idea. I feel the inclination to do this. But if you go past one step, you realize this is an incomplete idea that will neutralize the institutional power that is being amassed by people in the squad that we need them to hold while we send up more reinforcements through primarying centrist Democrats right now. In 2022, start your campaign right now, because we already know who doesn't support Medicare for all. We already know who was a hindrance to us winning in 2020 and 2016. We already know who the culprits are. And I know two things about them. One, we can primary them now because we actually have the ability to raise money. When I say institutional power, I mean raising money, because we still exist in this system and we got to raise money to actually mount a meaningful opposition and primary challenge. Period. We actually have the capacity right now in this country to primary anybody. But why wouldn't Jimmy Dore suggest that? Because that puts more power into the hands of a faction of the left that he doesn't control. But if he makes you angry at that faction, then you guys can come back to him. And even if you don't come back to him, you've at least neutralized the AOC contingency. Why? Because she didn't do what Jimmy Dore said. Why? Because it was a cockamamie idea that didn't think past step 2. Why? Because she doesn't have to do everything a goddamn YouTuber tells her either. Just like I don't. Just like you don't. Shit, I'm nobody but a YouTuber. Do what you want to do. But I'm done for the day, though. I'll see y'all later. I'm going to build media institutional power so that when the time comes, I will be able to hand my media institutional power and put it on the table next to organizational power, and put it on the table next to political power, people in office. And we will be able to primary whoever the hell we need to primary for the purposes of a progressive future, not some futile attempt to capitalize on your anger over the primaries. Because that's what Jimmy is doing on YouTube. And I'll say it to his face. But that's irrelevant. What's relevant is what I'm going to do with the rest of my day. which is going to build this institutional power that is needed for victory, that's actually needed. And we don't get that by attacking the intentions. See, it's one, if you don't, I thought I was done, but maybe I could end with this. If you think, it's really simple. Yo, folks, if you don't trust the intentions of the people that you are the most in league with, then you are hopeless in this fight that requires collaboration. If you are unable to put a modicum of confidence in people who literally came from the product of your efforts, AOC is the product of all, the squad is the product of all of all these institutions, this independent hell, I am a product of all of our efforts. All of our collective efforts. That's why I'm putting energy into it this morning. I'm putting energy into this morning because we are collectively the product of your efforts. And if at the first moment we don't do what you say, or what, in this case, what Jimmy Dore says, you question our integrity, well, I am equal parts enlightened and ignorant. And other people will rise above it and say, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. But I'm going to say, if you trust the instincts and the integrity of Jimmy Dore over AOC, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, people who've actually put their lives on the line for this, then I have to pause and reflect on your judgment. The point is that we gotta at least trust the people who came from within our ranks enough to know that they are trying. And in their effort to try, maybe this would have been a good strategy. Maybe Jimmy Dore's strategy actually would have been good. And we have to pause and say, oh, okay, this is dope. I don't like Jimmy, but a broken clock. But it is an incomplete strategy that ends after the vote. And the only thing you get, I was wondering if anybody answered, the only thing you get from this vote is the ability to say, these are the Democrats who don't support Medicare for all. And the big idea is that there are going to be enough Americans upset at the Democratic Party for not supporting Medicare for all to overturn the Democratic Party. The bad news is America sat by and watched 300,000 people die and still going to Hooters, bruh. And they're still going to the clubs, bruh. They're not going to care if Nancy Pelosi votes and shoots down something. They're not. And that is the real question. That is the real puzzle. The real puzzle is, how can so many Americans be so indifferent to what they know is right, what they want, what they need, and what is in their best interest? If your strategy doesn't at least take that into consideration, then you seriously have not paid attention to American politics long enough to be worth, honestly, my time? Sure. But the time of people who have committed their lives and put their hat in the ring and won. And now y'all don't even trust the people who came from your own ranks. Okay, I'm going to stop here. And I'm going to go ahead and continue minding my business. And I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm at this point, I'm going to ignore the thread because I've got work to do. And because I am that dude who will come in every single one of your mentions and reply to every single one of you individually. Y'all know about me. Don't forget. Don't forget, because I'm the pandemic has turned me into a Disney dad. I'm still Benjamin Dixon. And I still have the capacity to come in and be petty enough. I'm not proud of this. This is actually a bad thing. I am petty enough to come in and reply to every single person who's coming at me with enough wit and enough pizzazz to really ruin your day. But I'm not, because what's more important is not my ego, because I got plenty of it. And I've learned, my wife taught me how to put that shit to the side. I had to. Shit, marriage would do that to you. But more importantly, we got so much work to do. And we don't have more. I don't have more than these 40 minutes that it took for me to say this, to commit to this. And I'm going to get back to work. I mean, leave your comment in the comment section if you disagree. That's cool. I still love you. Yeah. All right. See y'all next time.